We are about to review Serenity, directed by Stephen Knight. Serenity is directed by Stephen Knight. The plot of this movie is about a character named Baker Dill who lives on Plymouth Island. He is a fisherman, and he's going about his normal life. He's preoccupied with catching this large tuna that he named Justice. Someone that he used to know comes to him and offers him a large sum of money in order to take someone out on his boat and have them maybe disappear. We'll have you figure out the rest. That's the plot. The theme and tone of this movie was, at the time, it was pretty confusing. It was hard to follow necessarily at the time. A little bit confusing, but you were in the story. It was just a little confusing to track a little bit.
Yeah, it was definitely confusing. After looking back at it for a long time, the tone is kind of, suspenseful, maybe a little dark, but it's definitely confusing to try to figure out exactly what the feel of the movie is.
Yeah, it was tricky because it was a bit confusing. As far as the actors in this movie, I thought the actors were great. It was a really, really good cast. You had Matthew McConaughey, Anne Hathaway. You had a ton of good supporting actors. I thought that was the best quality of this movie for sure. Really, really good cast. Really convincing. Really enjoyed that.
Yeah, definitely. I thought the actors themselves were fantastic. Like you said, there was a great cast, but I think the roles that they had to portray, none of those were super great, so then it kind of didn't make the acting as great as you wanted it to be, because the actors were great, but none of the roles that they had to portray were great.
The music in this movie was fine. It was just kind of embellished the things that needed to be embellished. It was kind of nice, complimenting music, but there was nothing spectacular.
I thought the music was fitting for the movie. Like you said, nothing spectacular, but nothing bad.
As far as the pacing goes, in the movie, I felt like the pacing was fine because I was very intrigued as to what's going on. So the pacing was okay as I was waiting for it all to come together. But in the end, like I said, with the direction of the script, it didn't all come together as I was expecting or wanted or needed, really. And so ultimately, I think the pacing might have been a little slow. The direction of the script affected it in that way. At the end, it felt slow and things dragged, and you're like, oh, that was what they needed to do. They could have sped it up a lot quicker in some places and wrapped it up a bit better. So I think that ultimately it affected the pacing in that way.
Yeah, I think it was kind of hard to tell what the pacing was as we're watching the movie because we were just trying to figure out what was going on. So then the pace was good because we're trying to figure out what's going on and understanding all the different parts of it. But then at the end, I think looking back with the goal that they were trying to accomplish, I think it was probably a little bit slow if we were to watch it again because we already know what's going to happen. But during it, the pacing seemed good because we were trying to figure out what was going on.
As far as the dialogue and the script went, it was good. It left you. It also kind of complemented the what's going on. There was a lot of things in it that directed you to make you wonder what's going on, or if things seemed off, it was for a reason. And so I think in that sense, it was pretty good, pretty standard, and it might have complemented the show pretty well.
I thought the dialogue in the script was kind of just normal, kind of with some of the other aspects of it. Nothing great, but nothing terrible. It was kind of just what I would think of like an average dialogue or script. It went along with the movie well, but there was nothing that was super duper awesome.
So for the direction of the script. The direction of the script was tricky to explain. It was when you're watching the movie in the beginning, it's you're trying to figure out what's going on. Things are weird. It was intriguing, so I was into it a little bit, and then it got a little odd. I was not a big fan of the direction of the script altogether. I really wanted to like the idea, but I just don't think it got pulled together well. I think it looked great on paper, but I just don't think it translated to the screen how they wanted it to necessarily.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think that it was just too many different aspects that he was tried to pull together, but they didn't really pull them together all that well. And so then it was just kind of really confusing. And so then it was kind of hard to follow, and so not all that great. Not terrible, because I think all the different aspects themselves were cool and it all made sense themselves, but together they did not make sense.
We had to sit after the movie for a while discussing what actually happened, which is not a great sign for a movie, but it was a good idea. I really liked the idea, and I really wanted to like it. It just didn't quite come together, I don't think. The cinematography I thought was really good. They were on this island. You could see the water out behind it. They had the effects whenever they needed to were really good. I thought that was another really good quality, along with the acting was right up there.
Yeah, definitely. I thought the cinematography was really great, very pretty, and then I think all of the different camera angles and then all the different kind of parts that they made that were not just showing a scene were very cool looking. So I would definitely watch out for those if you're going to watch this movie, because I thought it was very, very good.
The final grade for this movie, I give Serenity a C-.
And I give Serenity a C+.
I think the problem with this movie that we thought was it just didn't wrap up the way we wanted it to, and so it was intriguing in it, but at the end we were just left confused and a little bit like, that's it, the whole thing for that. We felt like it was kind of slow explaining it, or they could have done it better. So it just felt like there was a chunk missing. Some people might watch this and think it's an A movie, and if this is your thing, you might love it. We just didn't see it all come together the way we wanted it to.
So that's our movie review for Serenity. Thanks for watching!